Hello, good evening, and welcome to Psychic Talk with Priscilla Gendron. I'm your host this evening, and as usual, I'm coming from an unusually nice and sunny African sun. We're in the darkness now, but we've had a beautiful day here in beautiful South Africa. So it's my absolute honor and privilege to welcome a very, very special guest. And she is what I would call a soul sister, a sister from another mister. um, and for me, when I met this lady, it was as if I said, where the bloody hell have you been all my life? It just felt as if there was this kindred spirit and this kindred soul. And it's my absolute pleasure to invite the most amazing Ilene Gottlieb. Welcome, Ilene.
Oh, thank you, Priscilla. And you're right. I do consider you a very dear spiritual sister. And you're right. That was the most amazing connection when we first met. So grateful that the universe brought us together for sure. And thank you for having me today. This is fun.
It's always a pleasure to have you here. And I'm just so pleased for us to be talking about something that always has intrigued me. It draws on me and it draws on all of us as people to help us to find forgiveness and healing in different ways. And you've studied the Ho'oponopono, which is an ancient Hawaiian ritual. So maybe just backtracking slowly, maybe for people that don't really know who Ilene, the heart healer, is, would you like to maybe just explain to people a little bit about you and your journey of how it's taken you to become the heart healer in a sense?
Okay, my pleasure. I was born in a log cabin. No, I'm only kidding. I grew up in southern New Jersey in the U.S. My parents and I have a sister that's a few years older than me, and we had a dog back then. And life on the outside looked very typical. Middle class, conservative family. We had our lives very much oriented towards the synagogue community at that time in my life. And although on the outside it looked like the ideal family environment, on the inside it was less so much so. I was born an empath and very intuitive. And all of those gifts were very uncomfortable to have in a household with an abusive parent. Abuse, I've learned over the many years that I have been on this planet, is ancestral in origin. And more times than not, when a child has a parent that exhibits abusive behaviors, whether they're physical, emotional, whether they're mental, or any type of behaviors that are less than loving, more times than not, that parent was raised in an abusive environment as well. And that was the case in my family. And so I shut down all of my gifts at a very young age because it was too difficult to feel everything. And there was no one there to guide me. I always thought that my maternal grandmother might have been that person, but she died many years before I was born. So I never had the joy of getting to know her. So fast forward, I went to nursing school as part of my academic education. I worked mostly with children and women through my clinical experience. And I know that you and I, Priscilla, share that nursing background, having brought us to where we are professionally now. And I think that everything that we do is really an expression of who we are as a nurse, because once a nurse, you're always a nurse, right? Exactly. So I want to say in the early 90s, I was invited to a spiritual group, and it was a year of awakening for me. This was 1993 through 1994. And I met the most amazing facilitator of healing, also an amazing psychic. And she was the person who woke me up or helped me to wake up. And I reconnected to all my gifts at that time. And so it is over 50 years of being in nursing now and almost 30 years of being a facilitator of healing with energetic healing modalities. My company is Vibrational Healing from the Heart. And I also offer Akashic Records readings because I am a conscious channel. A little bit different than actually a lot different than a psychic medium as you are. Yeah. But that's kind of how I got to the general aspect of being in this metaphysical, spiritual way of being and in my business, right? So in you know what? I've lost track of how many years ago it was. What happens when you get older, right?
Exactly.
At some point, I had learned about Ho'oponopono, the ancient Hawaiian problem-solving process that most of us are more familiar with as the 4 phrases of, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. And what would happen is in the middle of a healing session, I would receive the thought, the intuition to think or speak those 4 phrases while I was working with my client. But it wasn't until I want to say 2018, around that time, that I was guided to actually study Ho'oponopono. And so I'm blessed to have Ihaliakala Hulen as my teacher. And by default, Morna Nalamaku Simeona Kahuna Lapa'au, his teacher, right? Not directly, but through him. It's a rich lineage of teaching this beautiful process. And when I first studied it, I figured, okay, let me see what I can do to see if this works for me personally. And at the time, I had back pain and vertigo. I literally could not stand up straight. It had been like maybe 5 or 6 days. Couldn't get to the acupuncture physician because it was Christmas week. And I sat there and I put my hands on that mid-back area where it was hurting. And I started just breathing into my heart and thinking and saying out loud, I love you. I'm sorry for whatever I did to cause this back pain. I don't have a clue. Please forgive me for whatever I did to create this back pain. Again, I have no idea where it's coming from. I'm so grateful to release it. Thank you, thank you, thank you, God, divine creator. And this went on for about an hour. And I don't know about you, when I do emotional clearing work, the tears flow, right? And the emotion that came up from deep within me was shocking to me. It was wonderful, but shocking. What was connected to this back pain that I really had no conscious connection to. And so within an hour, that pain was gone and it never came back. Unbelievable to me. So I thought, okay. At this time, my mom was in her 90s. That was a big part of my life because she was in assisted living. I would see her several days a week. And I said, well, let me see if I can shift this relationship with my mom. So I created a cleaning statement that was to whatever memories are in me that are the cause of my mom's suffering. Because any behaviors that are less than loving come from an experience of suffering. We don't need to know what it comes from. We just know that they're suffering. If someone's angry, if someone's fearful, there is suffering connected to that, right? Yes. So to whatever memories are in me that are the cause for my mom's suffering on any and all levels that I am to atone for, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. And I would think that phrase as often as I could remember to. And after a little bit of time, I was like thinking it when I woke up in the morning, and I would consciously think it before I went to bed at night. And after a couple of weeks, I noticed a sense of peace come over me. And in our membership community where this is what we do, Conscious Heart Connection and Ho'oponopono, that's a common experience, that when someone really embraces Ho'oponopono as a daily a way of being, a tool that they call upon every day, there is like this moment in time where there's a peace that's almost palpable, that's felt.
Yes.
And I also, whenever I was going to visit my mother on the drive over, I would do my Ho'oponopono. If she was not in a good frame of mind, I would find myself surprisingly saying to her, Mom, I'm sorry. I don't know what I said that upset you. Please forgive me for whatever I said. I love you. Can we move forward with this? And it was amazing to me that so many times it would just calm down.
Yes.
And that's how I started with Ho'oponopono. And in 4 months' time of focusing on this cleaning statement, not engaging with my mom except where necessary, saying Ho'oponopono on my way there, saying it before I picked up the phone with her, saying it on my way home, utilizing these 4 phrases and my cleaning statement that I created as much as I could. What I found was I'd wake up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and I was thinking it. So I knew that divine creator God was working for me with this. And in 4 months, almost to the day that I started, we were moving our mom from one independent living facility to an assisted living facility. And in the middle of all the chaos of moving, she was sitting on her walker and she said, can I have everybody's attention? I said, we all stopped what we were doing. And we said, of course. And she said, I just want to say thank you for all this help. I never could have done this by myself. This is not how my mom used to communicate. So that was like my ears perked up. But what she said next is what really brought tears to my eyes. And that was, I just want you all to know how much I love you.
Wow.
Not my mom, and that's what had shifted. So for the next 1.5 years until she transitioned to spirit, I was so blessed with the most loving relationship that I could have ever hoped for with her. And I credit it all to Ho'oponopono. I do.
It's an incredibly empowering and very powerful few words, in a sense. And it is literally just a few words. But it transcends everything, and it transcends time and space as well. And I feel like it's for my own understanding, or for the understanding of who we are as people. They don't have to accept the forgiveness. It's about you working on yourself more than anything else.
I think that the beauty of Ho'oponopono is that you can say just I love you. You can just say thank you in the updated version by my brain just went blank on her name. Morna Nalamaku Simeona is who is credited for updating the ancient version of Ho'oponopono to what we now know it as, which is called self-identity through Ho'oponopono.
Yes.
And so you can say, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, to initiate a Ho'oponopono cleaning. You can say those 4 phrases in any order that feels comfortable to you, or however you've learned it. And then the other thing is that really all you have to say is I love you or thank you repeatedly, because the I'm sorry and please forgive me is understood in the updated version of self-identity through Ho'oponopono. So you don't have to even know what it is that you're specifically cleaning on. It can be, to me, the applications of it are, you can just keep saying the 4 phrases, or just I love you, or just thank you, whenever you feel guided to, because there's always something to clean on. We always have something in this amazing matrix of energy that we are, because who we are extends back to the beginning of creation energetically. So God only knows we're connected to a lot of problems, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
But I feel like people tend to really use it in the form of actually doing healing with other people, or forgiveness, like you were talking about your mum and your process with your mum. And so that can we apply to that, but it can also be applied to situations and events as well. And
Absolutely.
we had briefly spoken before we came on live about the fact that this is an ancient Hawaiian ritual, and yet so much stuff is happening in Hawaii at the moment.
Right.
So maybe we can just touch on how we would go about the healing process in a situation, not just for a person in a sense.
So the philosophy is the same. I like using cleaning statements, but you don't have to. All you have to do, because we're not doing the cleaning, we're not doing the transmutation of whatever the energy is. Ho'oponopono tells us that our problems are as a result of memories replaying from our own subconscious mind. And the thing is that we don't have conscious awareness of our subconscious mind, right? Whether it's a physical issue, because in the ancient Hawaiian practice, the cell is believed, our cells that make up our body are believed to be perfect. It is the mind of the cell that's mirroring our mind. So our minds have a divine connection, divine creator, God connection, superconscious, conscious, subconscious. And the cell, its cell mind is the same. It's a perfect mirror. So the cell is perfect. Like when I talked about my back pain, it wasn't really my cells that I was talking to. It was my subconscious mind that I was asking divine creator to transmute the memories that were replaying that were the cause of my back pain. And this is applicable to everything. So as we honor the people of Maui and the land of Maui that's gone through this amazing trauma that it just experienced, the principles are the same. We are not asking for the people of Maui to have this suffering transmuted from them directly. We are never asking for that. We are only asking divine creator to transmute the memories that are in us that are the cause of whatever we're seeing as a problem. So coming back to Maui, our community has been offering cleaning statements to support the people and land of Maui since this occurred. So a cleaning statement that we're using is to whatever memories are in me that are the cause for the suffering of the people and the island of Maui on any and all levels that I am to atone for. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, or just I love you, or just thank you. And to repeat that, because every time you repeat it, write it, speak it, think it, you are initiating a Ho'oponopono cleaning, and more of the memories replaying and the collective memories replaying that are the cause for that suffering will be transmuted from us and simultaneously from them by divine creator. And this works with everything. Like you said, Priscilla, it works with when I'm talking about my mom's suffering, right? We're talking about me clearing from me the suffering of my mother, and her suffering is ancestral. And so as it's transmuted from me, it's transmuted simultaneously from her and from anyone in my ancestral lineage that holds that same energy back to the beginning of creation. So I often think of Ho'oponopono with great gratitude as like a public service act, because whenever each of us chooses to say Ho'oponopono, or I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, or any portion of that, we're serving humanity and Mother Earth and the cosmos in a very loving way. Does that make sense? Yeah.
It does. It really does make a lot of sense because, there's so much healing that has to continually happen. And if we don't move on from it and let it go, I know in my own journey of what I've gone over, for the last 5 to 10 years, there has been a lot of having to let go and doing forgiveness. And, I have used that phrase myself in a lot of situations that has helped me to heal. Definitely with people and situations. And yes, it has been surprising at how empowering it feels once you've done it and it's released and you're like, oh my goodness, it's gone. It doesn't hold me anymore. It doesn't hold me down.
Our community has worked on everything from, as we just said, to support the people and island of Maui. We've worked with the Ukraine. We've worked with the gun violence in the schools in my country, in the United States. I've used it for physical issues, for relationship issues, for political issues, social changes. I work on hurricane patterns with Ho'oponopono because I live in South Florida and we are smack dab in the middle of hurricane season. And there have been a few already that I'm sure have made international news, so there is no limit to what you can offer a Ho'oponopono cleaning statement for. It can be for anything that you experience as a problem, whether it be physically, emotionally, mentally, or spiritually. It's the beauty of it to me and the power of it.
Exactly. And because there's just so much that's been going on in the world, like traumatic things, as you say, Ukraine and Maui and all the floods that have been happening all over the place. I mean, even in Las Vegas, there's been those huge floods that have taken place. And in Europe as well, I think in Spain, there's been floods. So, and it's very cathartic and very cleansing, but very traumatic in another sense.
Right, exactly. We have a couple of members of our community that live in South Africa, but very, very far away. They live in the opposite part of the country from you, up in, I believe it's Lichtenberg, is made the news because even though all of you go through load shedding with your electricity in your country, actually, there was a transformer that had blown. And the electric company was pretty much holding people hostage because of the community not paying their electric bill. And we did cleaning statements to support them shifting and turning the electricity back on after the transformer was repaired. So that's what I mean. It's applicable to anything and everything that you can experience or perceive as a problem, issue, or challenge.
Yeah, definitely. We do have a lot of challenges with our electricity here. We're sitting on about, I think, 6 hours a day without electricity at varying stages of the day. So it's very challenging, and it's you can't allow it to control you. So you have to do that cleansing statement in a sense.
Right.
Because it is a process that we're going through. Things are happening for a specific reason, and we have to just process all of that.
And 99% of what is going on in our lives that is problematic, we don't know what the cause is. I love when I teach Ho'oponopono, there's a book called The User Illusion that Ilene referenced in his teachings. And it's a book on consciousness, very scientifically oriented, not a book that I couldn't sit down and read, but the main principle from it that Ilene would share is that the scientific research there said that for every 15, that's 15, bits of data per second that we're consciously aware of, there are 15 million bits of data and more per second that we have no knowledge of. which so helps us to understand this principle that Ho'oponopono is based upon, that our problems are memories replaying from our own subconscious mind. And so the more we engage with them, the more they expand and grow, because what you focus on is what expands and grows energetically. That's a very common principle to most of us,
Yes.
right? And so if you choose not to engage with the problem, but rather focus on the solution, which to me is doing the Ho'oponopono,
Yeah.
then you're constantly focusing your energy on the solution, and that expands and grows.
Yeah, because what we do is we always look at the problem and we try and fix the problem instead of focusing on the solution instead.
Right. Right.
And it's not easy. It's not easy to just shift the mindset and don't think of the problem and just think of the solution. But sometimes you have to just step into it and know that the solution is going to manifest.
I think that for most people that have a daily Ho'oponopono practice, it can be a little bit easier. I know that we in our community support each other. If someone's having a specific issue, they post it in our private Telegram group, and everybody can clean on whatever that is. Everything from, legal challenges coming up to illness in a family member, someone transitioning to spirit, looking for support and ease in that transition, you name it. And we keep a list of whatever it is that we're proactively working on. So like I have a history of migraines, and so I work on that on a daily basis, and that's part of our community list. So you have not only you doing the cleaning for yourself, you have a whole community of people that are supporting you in that cleaning by them doing the Ho'oponopono cleaning of whatever those memories are in themselves. And so it just exponentially expands the benefits, which is part of what I love about this work.
Because we're all energetically connected, even though we are halfway across the world from each other, we are energetically connected. And I know since my whole journey changed 4.5 years ago in terms of how I was doing and how I was doing work. And then we had, the pandemic arrived, and then we had to change the way we worked. And I had to learn a whole new way of being. And that's how we became friends and how we got to know each other. Because I had to, and I always say that was the best thing that could have actually happened to me, because I got to see a different version of who I am as a person. And I got to also expand my horizons. And for me, it felt like, even though I was doing shows that were physical and that were in a specific place in Durban, South Africa, I had to think outside the box, and I took it global. And instead of just having local people, I ended up with 300 international speakers from 19 countries, which blew my mind. And took me down a journey that I never thought I would go, because I wasn't technically minded. And it was an incredible journey that I've taken, and I've grown so much and learned so much and met the most incredible people through this whole journey, which has allowed me to grow as a person and expand my own mind and my own horizons, and to also then provide a platform for other people for their journey as well. So we also then have to do the forgiveness and the letting go of that part of our lives, because we're stepping into a new phase in our lives. So it doesn't just apply to a situation and stuff like that. It's also like a phase in our lives. We can use that.
And you do it so beautifully. You really, I have enjoyed being a part of that transition, because without that, I never would have met you. Right. And I so honor how you have shown up to be in service during these last few years. And even COVID, right? It has affected all of us on so many levels and continues to do so. We are forever changed by this experience. similarly to any other generation that experienced a pandemic like we have. But we've done it globally, where everybody's connected. You know, it's a very different experience than previous generations before us.
Yeah, very, very much so.
Right.
So I'm going to just put a little thing. If you've got any questions to ask, please put them into the chat, and we'll endeavor to answer them for you. So I was just thinking about the different forms of, like, there's different, because we medically trained and we have that, the nurse's hat on, the medical hat. Right. You know, a lot of people suffer from a lot of illnesses and stuff like that. So it's hard sometimes for people to just say, oh, if I'm going to say these few words, is it going to help with the healing? But it's not about the actual physical healing. It's about the healing of the situation.
Right. Right. And as the example that I gave in the beginning of our time together of my back pain and how I addressed it, the philosophy is the same, whether it's a diagnosis of a life-threatening disease, it's helping someone transition out of their body, you know, going through that dying process, or whether it's a child with a cold. You know, the principles are still the same. Ho'oponopono tells us that everything that we experience is memories replaying from our own subconscious mind. So if we keep cleaning or initiating the cleaning of whatever the memories are that are the cause of the problem, in this example, we're talking about a physical manifestation of a symptom or disease, the more quickly we will ideally be able to move through it. I also, there is a wonderful medical device called a Healy, Healy. I love this device. It's a frequency generator. It also scans remotely someone's energy field as well as your own if you're working with it, and recommends different programs that would help bring this energy field that is you into balance. One of the things that we can do is actually create custom programs. And one of the things that I do for clients that I'm working with is I create Ho'oponopono cleaning statements to have flow into their energy field continuously 24/7. Wow. You know, because we can't think of it 24/7, but this is an additional way of working with Ho'oponopono to support ourselves and other people. I love it. I love it. I'm so grateful for it. I love doing this with people that are going through like a medical procedure, a surgery, or that has an ongoing medical condition that they're looking for support with.
Yes, I know. And you met me at a time when I actually was getting quite ill myself. I know we had several sessions, and you did also use the Healy on me several times. Right. And I know that I did find after those sessions that there was a significant change in the healing process for me. So I do know that it does work. And I'm proof of that because I came out of it on the other side.
You certainly have, and we're very grateful that you did.
I was worried at a stage, you know, I was really worried at a stage that I wasn't going to do that. But I think the important thing to know is that it's not a magical cure. You know, it's not just like wave my magic wand and ta-da, it's all going to be better. And it's a process in a sense. Right. So, you know, for some people it might take an hour, some people it might take a month, it might take 3 months. Is it for you in a sense like how deep the trauma is in terms of the healing process?
You know what? I've never really asked that question to myself. I'll give an example though. Ihaliakala, who Len shares in his journal about working on one of his daughters very shortly after she was born, had some type of a skin disorder, that it was dry and it was cracking in the creases, and it took a year before she was completely symptom free. And this is someone that was adept at doing this process, right? And so you don't know, because as we mentioned before, you have no idea what's connected to it.
Yes.
And so I think also you mentioned previously, Priscilla, that it's not always easy to do. And that's because we weren't raised with this as a philosophy and a way of being. The ancient Hawaiians were born into this belief that they were born into a human experience to atone for, not out of guilt. It was a part of their life purpose to atone for everything that happened before they came into their bodies, right? And so to have this be a part of the community, the family every day, it's much easier than at 70 years old, you start adopting it. But nonetheless,
Exactly.
it can be done. And once you start putting reminders in your phone, creating cleaning statements, or doing this however you feel intuitively guided, because to me, this is a private conversation with your creator, right? And however that looks, that's why the language of it, whatever feels comfortable to each person, is what is important, because our creator, however we refer to that part of us, knows our heart. And if our intention in our heart is that the words we're using is that we're doing a ho'oponopono cleaning, then indeed that is what happens, right?
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Okay, so we have a question.
Okay.
It's from Linda. Is there one frequency for Ho'oponopono or combination of frequencies?
That's an interesting question, Linda. Thank you. And Suki, hello. Thank you for joining us. Is there one frequency? The image that comes to me, Linda, is magnets, right? There was a company called Nikan, and basically their magnets help the body to heal, but it was one set of frequencies, right? And then there are other energy wellness tools that have multiple human blueprint frequencies in them that help bring that energy field that is the body's a layer of into more balance. So that's many frequencies. When you think of this as each memory has a different set of frequencies, then I would say that the answer to your question would be that it's multiple frequencies. But if your question is the energy of I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, one frequency, I honestly don't know the answer to that. To me, if I ask intuitively whether it's multiple frequencies, I think that it is multiple, because there's so much involved with the frequencies of the words, the frequencies of the letters, the frequencies of our emotions as we do it. There's so much that's wrapped up into it that it feels like the answer to your question would be that it's multiple frequencies that represent a Ho'oponopono cleaning rather than just one. Please let us know in the chat whether that makes sense to you or if you have any follow-up questions. What do you think, Priscilla? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that a statement, in a sense, has its frequency in which it's coming out of you or coming from you.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's hitting a situation which has a different frequency.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about how the two frequencies would then connect and join.
Right, right. Interesting thought. Interesting thought. I love everything about energy. It's kind of how I am navigating my world, right? Being a facilitator of healing, utilizing energetic frequencies, that's pretty much how I see and experience things. So to me, everything is multiple frequencies, but I really honor Linda and her question, because it can be confusing, right? And it is interesting to consider, would the phrase be just one frequency, or would it have multiple frequencies connected to it? It's a great question. And I thank you, Linda, for asking it.
Yeah, because it would be, the situation itself, or the person, they all come with their own frequencies, because we're all based on energy and frequency. So it's kind of like almost putting the radio on and then tuning to the right channel to listen to what we need to listen to, or to send the message.
Exactly. Right. And by even creating, to me, based on what you just said, by creating a very specifically languaged cleaning statement, we are directing Divine Creator to the frequencies that represent the memories that are replaying, that are the cause of that problem. So yeah, I think it's fascinating. I do.
Amazing.
And we just saw Janie Lynn has just joined us. Welcome.
Hi, Janie. Welcome, and welcome to Suki and Linda. We've got quite a few people on tonight.
Is that Christian or Christiane? That also
Christian. Yes, Christian is also on tonight.
Nice.
So if there's anybody that would like to ask her any questions, the floor is open to any questions that she can answer, or anything that you'd like to know about the Ho'oponopono and about how we can use it for forgiveness. But it's not just about forgiveness, is it? It's about other things as well.
I think that if we look at it from its pure sense, it is about forgiveness in a way, because it's about whatever the problem is, we've created it. So the I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, it's not out of guilt, but it is an atonement. It is atoning for whatever the cause of the problem is that created suffering on some level, to ourselves, to our ancestors, to our fellow human beings, etc. But some people really have they get a charge on the I'm sorry part and the please forgive me, especially if it's something like abuse, right? Because it's like, why am I asking for forgiveness when I'm the one that was hurt? And it's and that's why I always invite people, if saying forgive, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, or please forgive me doesn't work, just say I love you. And if I love you triggers you, just say thank you. Again, the intention is that you are initiating a Ho'oponopono, which is transmuting by Divine Creator whatever memories replaying in your own subconscious mind are the cause of the problem, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so
Suki has said, there we go. What can we do to bring more positive energy to our current existence?
I think if we follow, it's a good question, Suki. I think if we follow I Haleakala Hulen's wisdom, it is that the more we initiate the Ho'oponopono cleaning, the more we are transmuting our collective problems. Everything that is connecting each of us, as Priscilla had mentioned earlier, energetically, we're all connected. So the more we do the Ho'oponopono as a way of being, not necessarily specifically about one thing, the more we are transmuting the source of suffering, of problems, the more peace, the more love. Right? Or you can do a very specific cleaning statement, Suki, where you can say to whatever memories are in me that limit me from having the most ideal, positive existence, positive life on any and all levels that I am to atone for. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, or just I love you, or just thank you repeatedly.
Amazing. Right. Let me see if there's any other questions coming up. So You also do a lot of stuff online as well, and I know that you have a wonderful community. I think it's on Facebook. Want to just tell me a little bit about that?
Well, we have the Heart Healers Ho'oponopono Facebook group, and from that was born our membership community, which is the Heart Healers Ho'oponopono membership community. And the focus of the membership community is no different than the group, but you get more of me, right? You get more of a connection, more direct support. That it's all about conscious heart connection and creating and maintaining a consistent Ho'oponopono practice. We meet weekly on Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. Eastern time. We actually have a couple of members from South Africa that stay up until 1 in the morning to join us. I'm so blessed to have them with us. But we record all of our sessions. There is a very lovely membership site that everyone has access to 24/7. Lots of bonus content for our members. I offer a monthly new moon clearing that I've done for, I think it's like 7 years or so. And that's added bonus content for our heart healers, which is what we call our members of our community. And so they can listen to these this new moon clearing meditation whenever they want. And although it's connected to the new moon, it's really all about clearing out any energy that doesn't support us. And Ho'oponopono is incorporated into that meditation, which I love doing them, and I love sharing that time with people on a monthly basis. But yeah. And our membership community also, I think I mentioned it previously, we have a private Telegram group that, again, we can connect 24/7 and ask for support. And it's a really lovely group of people, even if I do say so myself. I feel so blessed to have attracted such loving, kind people, and they are very committed to their Ho'oponopono practices and to supporting each other. It's such a gift.
It's amazing. I know I'm part of that wonderful community, and it is just so empowering to know that there's this amazing group of collective people globally that are on the same frequency, in a sense.
And I love that. And I love that. And there are many groups that talk about Ho'oponopono, that support communities in cleaning for each other, that you can find them on Facebook. I love that different people have felt a calling to bring this into consciousness more and more at this time. You know, when I first started my work as the heart healer, it was a name given to me by Spirit. And it was because it was all about connecting to the heart in our relationship with ourselves as the source of healing. It wasn't until Spirit guided me to combine the two and have that be my soul service at this time, that I started doing it more in hand, heart in hand with each other. And they fit so beautifully, right? And Suki, no apologies for not being here earlier. You arrived at the perfect time. When you listen to the replay, we mentioned some cleaning statements for the to support the people and the land of Maui. And I hope you'll find that to be helpful in some way.
Yeah, I definitely feel like. And you had said that you were going to put an offer in to people. So
I did. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, maybe I can't. Here, let me put it in the chat. Okay. It is, if you go to where is it? Hold on a second. I lost it. Okay.
Because if anybody wants to get hold of Ilene, they can go to www.ilenethehearthealer.com.
But you need to add to that. Can you add to it? It would be /psychic talk gift. If you can put that up there. So it's my website Psychic Talk Gift.
Gift.
For some reason, I can't put it in the chat.
All right. I will do that.
Your gift from my heart is an ebook, and it is a gift from my heart from Ho'oponopono, and it's called Every Day is a Good Day for Ho'oponopono. And stay tuned. I am publishing that as both an ebook, not an ebook, both as a Kindle version book and a paperback book, hopefully this fall. So keep your eye out. If you opt into my list by receiving this ebook gift, which will give you all the basics to Ho'oponopono, as well as some stories to help understand the different applications of it. I think that it will help you tremendously to get started. And if you already have a Ho'oponopono practice, it will inspire you to continue with it for sure.
So it'll just be / Psychic Talk Gift.
Yes, thank you, Priscilla. Thank you. Yes.
Okay. So that's, Ilene, we could chat until the cows came home because there's always just so much to talk about in this wonderful world, in this cosmos and this melting pot of energy and chaos and love and things like that. Is there any sort of like final little pearls of wisdom or something that you could leave us with that we could take with us in the sense of how we step forward into the world with all the chaos going around at the moment?
I'm happy to. When we remember that no matter what the problem is, love is always the answer. And it's who we're being in the situation, not the situation that's surrounding us that we can consciously choose about. Then we get to choose to be as loving as we can in any given situation. And that energy always expands as a gift to everyone and everything in its path. When we add Ho'oponopono to that, we are elevating the energetic frequency for not just ourselves, but for everyone and everything within, above, and upon this planet that we all so lovingly share as much as we can. And that always extends out into the cosmos. So if I can impart anything, it is that who you're being is all that you get to choose. And the more you choose love, the more it benefits us all. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. And thank you. Thank you, Priscilla. I love you dearly.
Thank you very much for joining me today. And it's been an absolute pleasure and honor. So if you want to get hold of Ilene and take her up on this amazing special gift, you can go to www.ilenethehearthealer.com / Psychic Talk Gift. And I can tell you that it's going to be well worth it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
She's an amazing lady. I've had wonderful sessions with her, and they've always empowered me. They've always given me more than I thought. And I've always taken away something, even when I was feeling like, okay, maybe this is not going to work. I always took something away, and sometimes it took a day or so for it to all sink in, and then bing, I had a magic moment. So I thank you for that, and I thank you for your continued support of me, and
my joy.
And Suki, thank you very much. It's always a beautiful energy. And yes, you do. You have the most incredible energy, and I just thank you very much for sharing it with us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so it's a goodbye from me, and I hope everybody has a blessed evening or day, depending on what part of the country you're in, and what time you are. So I thank you, and bye-bye till next week.